The third thing you'll see all pro players do when they hit a forehand is swing to their contact point. Now, before we talk about how exactly that's done, I want to first discuss my feet. Now, my feet haven't moved since I pivoted and turned my shoulders. And from this stance I'm in right now, I could swing forward and make contact with the tennis ball. This is called an open stance. Or I could step in with my inside foot, like I'm doing here, and hit from this foot position. Now, whether or not you step in like I've just done simply depends on the situation you're in when you play a match. Over the course of a match, pros will hit from this position I'm in, which is called the neutral stance, or they'll hit from the position I was previously in, the open stance. Again, it just depends. Now, in my opinion, it's easier to learn how to hit a forehand. It's easier to put your shot together if you're in this stance. So we're teaching it like that. And I just wanted to make that point because later in this section, you're going to see pros in the open stance, and I didn't want y'all at home to get confused. So just keep that in mind. When y'all are putting your forehand together, I recommend you step in like I'm doing here because I think it's a little bit easier to learn. Let's get back to how all pro players get to their contact point. Remember, at the completion of the last video, all pro players were in this position, the completion of their preparation. And from this position, they have to do three things to get to their contact point. They have to push off their outside leg and get their heel up. They have to rotate their upper body back towards the net. And they have to drop the tennis racket down and swing forward to their contact point. And that's what I'm going to shadow right here in this video clip. I push off my outside, my back foot in this case, and my heel comes up. The weight gets transferred to my front foot. At the same time, my upper body rotates back towards the net. And finally, the racket drops down and then swings forward to my contact point, which you can see is a little bit out in front of my body. Now, from the front perspective, let's watch it and get a sense of what it looks like from this angle. Again, my back heel comes up. I transfer my weight to my front foot. And getting my back heel up is going to help me rotate my upper body back towards the net. And again, the racket drops down and swings forward to my contact point, which is about waist high. And if we go back to the completion of my preparation, you'll also notice that when my racket drops down and swings forward, it looks kind of like my racket is tracing a C out. So keep that in mind when you're swinging forward. When you're dropping the racket down and swinging forward, it looks kind of like a C when you swing forward and get to your contact point. We've got Frank Salazar on the FYB TV screen, and we're going to use his forehand to demonstrate those 3 points I just talked about. Now remember, Frank was the former #1 tennis player in the world in the juniors, and he's currently a high-performance coach. Now, from the completion of his preparation, Frank pushes off his outside leg, his back leg. The heel comes up. That helps him rotate his upper body back towards the net. And then as he swings the tennis racket, it drops down and then comes forward to his contact point. And if we freeze it at his contact point, it's about waist high and out in front of his body. Now, if we go back to the completion of his preparation, when his racket drops down, we'll put a line through it. You can see that line looks like a C as the racket comes down and then swings forward. From the front perspective, we're going to watch it and see how everything works from this angle. The back heel comes up and he transfers his weight forward. The upper body rotates back towards the net. And the racket drops down and then swings forward to his contact point, again, out in front of his body and about waist high. Let's go back to Marat Safin in his Tangerine outfit to see how he swings forward to his contact point. This is the completion of his preparation, rackets all the way back, other arm extended out across his body. And from the side perspective, this is Marat in the process of swinging forward. If we zoom in on his feet, he's pushing off his outside leg. If we move up to his shoulders, you can see that he's rotating his upper body back towards the net. And if we zoom it back out a little bit, the racket has dropped down and is in the process of swinging forward. Now in this clip, Marat is basically at contact. He's fully pushed off his outside foot. He's actually in the air now. His upper body is fully rotated back towards the net. And he's making contact with the tennis ball out in front of his body. And you'll notice that the tennis racket strings are flat on the back of the tennis ball.